What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Like, share, subscribe, comment. IG TikTok bottom of the video, and we're just gonna hop right into it. So today we'll be doing another going through another lawsuit paperwork. I don't think this one will be as long as the Tyler Perry one. I don't know if y'all. I don't think y'all was a big fan of the length of the entire pause. Hey yo. Anyway, fuck that. Today we are doing the new Fat Joe lawsuit. Now I think there's some other parts to it at the moment, but I gotta understand it first. So I'm just doing the first lawsuit that was filed by obviously the guy who's trying to sue uh Fat Joe. I think let me check for how much though. I think it's for 20 million. Yeah, he's suing Fat Joe for 20 million. So who is suing him? Obviously, some of them they John, Jane Does, but this time we have a name. So we have a Terrence Dixon, who is a former hype man, but in this lawsuit, he says he is, or considers himself, I should say, a lyricist, background vocalist, security team member, and a creative collaborator, saying that he definitely helped on a lot of songs, but we'll get to more specific than that when I read into it. For right now, I'm just gonna give y'all a little bit of a background. So this lawsuit, as defendants, also includes Pistol Pete, Rick Player, and Rock Nation as a whole. He's accusing Fat Joe and other defendants of unjust enrichment, quantum merit, fraudulent concealment, fraud, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and money laundering. And some basic points, obviously, before we dive into the actual, reading verbatimly what's in the lawsuit. So he does say humiliating. Damn, I was fucked up. Humiliating. Oh, I can't say that word. Okay. Situations including sex acts under distress and surveillance accompanied by threats of abandonment in foreign countries. Fat Joe withheld travel accommodations, misappropriated per diem payments, and exploited plaintiffs' financial dependency and loyalty. Pete and Player did some of this shit under Joe commands. In Miami or on a yacht, Joe made them have repeated orgies, and Dixon found out in 2024 how Joe was mishandling and lost his funds, or mishandling and not giving him his funds, I should say. Now that was suspect for me, but I'll get into that later. But first, I will say also what I didn't say. He's also trying to. You're going to see in some of the shit I read that he's also saying Rico a lot. So obviously with this, if you go through the whole lawsuit, he's also trying to, besides the things they're already accusing him, he's also going to try to prove a civil Rico, which you honestly don't see a lot of, but because that's something that could have been possible with Diddy, but his civil cases didn't really try to prove that he was try to prove a silver Rico. That's him in a court of law that they're trying to prove a silver Rico now. So definitely interesting to see. But now we just gonna hop into the paperwork. So let's get it. So first thing, like I said, he did say he was helped with a lot of songs. So throughout his work with the defendant, plaintiff co-authored and or performed on numerous commercial release songs, including but not limited to All the Way Up, Congratulations, Money Over Bitches, Ice Cream, 300 Brolic, No Problems, and Why to Know Me. Now, if you are around my age, you might not have heard of a lot of these songs because I'm not gonna lie, I have not either. But obviously, we know All the Way Up. So get past that. Now, no funny shit though. No funny shit though. All the way up, we not finna act like that was a lyrical masterpiece. The damn chorus just says all the way up. So if you trying to brag that you helped the nigga say all the way up, I don't think that's gonna really hold up well. So he said the plaintiff contributed lyrics, melodies, vocal phrasing, and conceptual designs to these works, substantially shaping their final form as distributed to the public. So, I mean, I get it, but yeah. This is also important, saying defendant Cartagena, which is that's Fat Joe, that's his legal last name, and plaintiff negotiating to follow compensation for his creative efforts, explicitly assuring him that he will receive 15% ownerships in every track to which he contributed, 15% of gross earnings derived from those songs. Three, Ernest. I don't know what word that is. I've never seen that word in my life. of letters or direction to secure royalty and publishing payments through performing rights organizations. Oh, I did forgot to preface this before I got into reading it. Now, if you haven't heard for the lawsuit before, if the lawsuit gets very repetitive in what we're talking about, because this lawsuit is very repetitive, because if you go look at the actual lawsuit, it's 157 pages, but a lot of it is nailing the head on the same point. So I'm not going to sit here and read everything, verbatimly throughout the whole lawsuit. I'm going to just get on important and interesting points that people want to hear about. So, yeah. Or a point that would, help make or break the case. You feel me? Okay, so throughout plaintiff's 16-year period working closely with defendant, plaintiff was routinely coerced and engaging in sexual acts with women specifically brought by defendant Fat Joe to hotel rooms and private gatherings following performances and studio events. Defendant Fat Joe frequently arranged and orchestrated these encounters, intentionally creating scenarios designed to reinforce plaintiff's complete submission. It said defendant Fat Joe regularly monitored these encounters closely, frequently remaining in the room to watch, record, or provide explicit direction and commands. Plaintiff did not willingly consent to participate in these acts. Instead, plaintiff submitted solely out of fear of immediate retaliation, which defendant repeatedly demonstrated would include financial punishment, professional sabotage, abandonment in foreign countries, or physical harm. On at least one occasion, plaintiff explicitly resisted participating in choral sexual encounter arranged by defendant. Defendant immediately retaliated by canceling plaintiff's scheduled flight home, deliberately stranding plaintiff without money, shelter, or support, thereby intentionally placing him in an isolated, unsafe, and highly vulnerable position abroad. These calculated and repeated acts of sexual coercion served a clear purpose in defendant's enterprise, reinforcing plaintiff's ongoing subordination, obedience, and silence through humiliation, fear, and psychological domination. Sexual compliance became a condition of plaintiff's continued employment, access to essential resources, safe travel, and basic human dignity. Now, stop right there. Obviously, if you didn't get from all that, this nigga is saying that Fat Joe is on his ditty. He is accusing Fat Joe of being in the room and sometimes recordings and okay. Sometimes recording, obviously watching and arranging these sexual encounters that he would watch him do. So he is definitely saying that Fat Joe did some freak off shit. And as well as this was also a point of them trying to build the Silver Rico again. So basically with Ricos, in enterprises, when you're trying to build it around something like the Fat Joe, or this case and Diddy's case of sexual, you have to basically build the fact of how they're trying to hold control and things of that nature. So obviously that point was trying to tell you what ways Fat Joe, established control when somebody didn't want to participate in these sexual acts. So yeah, allegedly. We don't know what the fuck going on, at least right now, at least. All right, so next thing, forced expositionist and enterprise sexual culture. Defendant's coercive control over plaintiffs was not limited to financial manipulation and abandonment. He routinely employed verbal intimidation and psychological threats to maintain plaintiff's submission. As previously stated, defendant frequently told plaintiff that no one exists in Terror Squad in one piece, a chilling phrase meant to reinforce the consequences of disloyalty or challenging his authority. The defendant repeatedly referenced what happened to former Terror Squad artist Cuban Link, who was physically assaulted and slashed across the face, leaving him with a permanent nerve damage and visible scarring. And they did leave 2 photos of Cuban Link. Now, in all seriousness, I don't know, the nerve damage, yes. I'm struggling a little bit to see this permanent visible scarring across his face, what he mean. Unless he's talking about this one dark mark on his cheek, I guess. But besides that, I'm struggling to see that. But obviously, we're not going to be able to tell nerve damage from that. So from this picture. So I'm gonna put the pictures in here, and you're gonna be like, okay. That's the only thing. So another interesting point. Beyond coerced sexual acts, defendant Fat Joe forced plaintiff into repeated acts of public expositionism exhibitionism. That's not a word you say often. Designed to degrade and exert control under the guise of loyalty tests and group bonding rituals. Now, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it's other definitions or other ways of this, but I'm pretty sure off the top of my head, exhibition is, that's a crazy word. I've never used that word like that in my life, but is basically being naked. That's what I thought. It says an act of exposing in a public or semi-public context one's intimate parts. So yeah, being naked. So that's what I figured. Obviously as a man, we really only have one intimate part. Well, I mean, expose your ass cheeks, but that's kind of crazy. But they probably made him walk around his dingling out. So there's that. Another core origin. Now this one was crazy to me. I left this in here because it's not funny because it actually well, I'm not gonna say it actually happened to somebody, but because we don't know yet, but it sounds crazy as hell. But so after that, it says defendant Fat Joe routinely orchestrated sexual coercive scenarios in which plaintiff was compelled to engage in sexual acts with women, brought to hotel rooms following live performances to events of private studio sessions. These incidents were carefully arranged by defendant and occurred in environments fully controlled by him. In many instances, defendant remained present during these encounters, watching, recording, or issuing verbal commands and commentary. On one occasion in Miami, after a concert, defendant brought a woman back to his hotel suite, and he then ordered plaintiff to sleep with her in front of the group, insisting the bathroom door stay open and shouting, "Get your dick hard, TA." Imagine you telling a grown man to get his dick hard. But remember, they call him TA because they are going to use TA a couple times in here. TA is obviously referring to the plaintiff, Terrence Dixon. So, yeah. Members of the enterprise, including JB and Pistol Pete Torres, who is going to be used a lot in a couple of minutes, or mentioned a lot, I should say, stood in the room watching and laughing, with one individual remarking, "Yo, Joe, I'm not about to stand here and watch this nigga dick." Plaintiff did not participate willingly. His compliance was driven by the credible and persistent threat of retaliation, including the loss of income, removal from the tour, or public humiliation. So, in other words, that nigga thought about the loss of the bag and his dick got hard real quick. Imagine a nigga tell you about to lose your income and your dick get hard. Yo, that's nuts. Hey, that's nuts. I ain't even gonna lie to you. That's nuts. That's super wild. He said that's dumb wild. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Now, the next thing we're getting into is he's about to say that Fat Joe like little girls. Now, this one is very bad because he is actually going to include song lyrics in this. And well, I'll explain what I was finna say after song lyrics. So first, throughout his time working for defendant, plaintiff personally witnessed defendant engage in sexual relations with children who were 15 and 16 years old. First, Minor Doe 1. Minor Doe 1 is a 16-year-old Dominican girl residing in New York. In exchange for cash, clothing, and payment of her cell phone bill, defendant would get oral sex and other sexual acts performed on him by Minor Doe 1. On one occasion, while driving in New York City, Minor Doe 1 asked the defendant for money to pay for her cell bill. Being notoriously cheap, the defendant claimed to be broke. This upset Minor Doe 1, who began yelling, cursing, and screaming. Plaintiff begged defendant to pay the minor's child phone bill, which was less than $100. I hope that's not true. I hope. I really do. Minor Doe 2 is a Caucasian female. She is not a United States citizen. The defendant began having sexual relations with Minor Doe 2 when she was 15 years old after a concert overseas. Defendant flew Minor Doe 2 to New York City, Miami, and Florida on multiple occasions. Due to Minor 2's body being adolescent, not fully formed, defendant paid for her to get a Brazilian butt lift or a BBL. Minor Doe 2 eventually left. Defendant is now married to a professional athlete. Hold on. Hold on. He said, let's see what that. Hold on. All right, ain't nobody said who the fuck Minor Doe 2 is. So I was trying to see if that was somebody we might know. But stop right there for a quick second. That flying her. The only excuse this nigga has I mean, it's still nasty because she young as shit. I'm not excusing it. But the only one he might be able to slide is laws are different in some places, so the age of consent is different in some places. He's still nasty as hell for talking to that little girl. But what I was finna say, a issue here is this helps another part of the Silver Rico because this is sex trafficking because he's traveling a minor across state lines. It's state lines, country lines. I think it gets worse when you're international. So he's, traveling this minor across state, international lines just for the purpose of sex. And then it was also gonna hurt his case for, the proving for, it's not saying it's a Rico is the fact that this nigga got her a BBL. So that just makes it worse. Also, the thing with minor though 1 is 2 that also helps his case. I mean, hurts. I keep saying helps. Hurts his hurts Fat Joe's case because the exchangement of payment. Now into Minor Doe 3, who was probably the most important, who they did provide pictures of but blacked out. Minor Doe 3 is a Latino female who met the defendant when she was 15 years old, turning 16. According to defendant was in love with Minor Doe 3. He even contemplated leaving his wife. The defendant paid all Minor Doe's 3 bills and even took her overseas to his tour stops. He brought her to Florida and would put her up in a condo he rented a few blocks from his house with his wife. In a recorded conversation, Minor Doe 3 and her 15-year-old cousin described in detail to the plaintiff how appropriate it was for a defendant who was in his late 30s to be fawning over children. Yeah, it's very inappropriate, but you accepted it because the nigga was paying all your bills. So I mean, she too young to know, so I can't even fault her for that. So let me shut the fuck up. I was like, but I can't even fault her for that because she young as hell. You can't even. And then now we can get into the song lyrics that I said were about minors. Now you can't. I'm not gonna read this whole thing, but the song is called "She My Mama," which is whoa, what the fuck. I ain't even see that title. That's fucking crazy. But now these are the lyrics. Now she was only 16. I can't put it in here because they're going to obviously flag my video. Not flag it, but they're going to copyright my video. I'm trying to get this money. So now she was only 16. I had to nurture that. Give her some growth. Waited till I touched the cat. Okay. Told she was going to have to work if she gonna get ahead. Exchangement for the bills and okay. Y'all get where we're going with this. Then she drove me berserk when she gave me some head. It started with the 16-year-old, remember? She told me that she learned that from porno flicks. I said, "Mommy, stop talking. Just suck on his dick." I ain't say her name yet, so let's say she nothing. Now watch me turn this nothing into something. Get it? I'm just we're just going to leave it at that. Now we getting more up to the Rico and the violent part of the Rico, not just the freaked out part of the Rico. So let's get to it. So basically, a couple things are bad in this conversation is person he's having a conversation. Yes, but you're trying to tell me to line the nigga up. That don't even make sense. I don't know who thought they were in their mind I was going to do that. Pistol Pete. No, I'm just saying though. Listen, if a nigga violate anybody, that my niggas going to bring it right to where you're at. I ain't got to lie. My niggas going to bring them right to me. My hood is going to bring it right over there. Why? Like they always done. Why a nigga get dealt with accordingly? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. No disrespect. But also let's think about nigga. These are Puerto Ricans letting this N word fly like that. But that's neither here nor there. It's here and there. But it's definitely here and there. But yeah, that was crazy to me. Also on this phone call, Pistol Pete says, and it's just like when you bring somebody around the mafia. He goes bad and it was on your shit. You get bust open until you get cut. It's just like you've been down with the gang and the nigga that you brought. I don't think I gotta tell y'all why that, you shouldn't say shit like that on a recorded cell phone. Okay. Another part that you're gonna that in this. Listen, you're not with me all the time. I got my own Percy. That's a fact. Pistol Pete, niggas, me and my niggas. But trust me, Tony Yayo won't be screaming out no shit like that just from DP. But Percy, he's saying TS, but you was at the time niggas knew you was as being the face for TS. As far as the goons was considered being niggas. Pistol Pete, we was beefing with them niggas. What are you talking about? We beefing with them niggas. We came out of song. We got it on the popping. I guess on and popping was it. It was serious. It was hard with us too. Joe wasn't nowhere around. We was the one in the streets. We was the one that had to deal with niggas running the clubs and the goons and then this and that. I'm just saying, you keep using the word gang. You keep saying we, niggas, enterprise, Rico. I mean, you keep saying, a group of niggas, what y'all was doing, enterprise, Ricos. That's why, nigga, you got to say these are my friends. We're not, we're not a group. We're not a collective. These are my friends. Niggas talking about some goddamn. He didn't say gang and he didn't say that shit on this damn shit phone too many times. Okay, this is where they're discussing the plaintiff, Terrence Dixon. Percy, but you want to take you, and maybe you want to tell me, like I said, when I told them, yo, TA went bad, he said, yo, Percy, everybody deserves a second chance, all right? Everybody deserves a second chance, you're right, but we don't be. Let's not pick and choose who we want to give second chances to, bro. Rich player, yes, I do. I forgot to say it was a different call. This one is a different call. Now he's talking to Rich Player. Yes, I do. He just went super, super duper bad. Do you know what hurts the most, bro? How him and TA, they were tighter than tight. They were tighter than me and Joe. You and Joe. Percy, they were tighter than me and Joe. So this right here is just a great part of saying showing their relationship and showing that, all this. Terrence was very close to them. So some of this definitely has validity to it. Now he's getting into, basically he's showing the plaintiff. He's showing how Fat Joe and Fat Joe and Pistol Pete contacted him through a burner account on Instagram, and basically where we're threatening him in a way. So one screenshot reads, "Bring him out, make it." This is the plaintiff. "Bring him out, make it happen." Fat Joe on his burner, "Don't need to lift a finger. Biggest in the game. You not stopping nothing." Oh, that's the plaintiff. Everyone willing to do it for me. So obviously he's threatening. It is definitely referring to killing him. But two, you also have to consider that him saying everybody's willing to do for me kind of feeds into the gang enterprise and organization thing that they were already trying to build with the Silver Rico. Now, the next set of screenshots, it says, "Fuck out of here with that shit. I've been waiting. I guarantee it won't be how you think it's going to go down. Nigga, please. How many times I watched you freeze Chiquita, nigga? I don't even know what the fuck that mean." Fat Joe says, "Nigga, you will get dragged." This Puerto Rican and nigga shit is killing me. And then what's up. "Never all truth is going to keep going and going and going. But be very careful. We let you live. I am what you want to see. Should have do right, homie. What you thought? I'm not scared of you niggas. Don't you ever forget in your life, Percy ain't here. Everyone is outside. Me too." Then he comes back. "You look sick, very sick. Keep watching, but you a part of it, good or bad. Feel look good about it. You not a don, nigga. You love your family, right? That's an obvious threat." No, it's no need to even say anything about that one. Then next set important is going to Pistol Pete and his burner account. Only thing about Pistol Pete, no disrespect, it's not the brightest young man. I will have to say he's definitely not the brightest tool in the barn, because in these DMs, the plaintiff, you are not the real Pistol Pete. This nigga sends a video of himself. So if you are on a burner account, the burner account is obviously, I guess you could be like, it was for the public not to know, but if you gonna be sending threats from a burner account, I would, think you hiding your identity. So it gets into, do you want to fight? You don't want to fight though. You're super pussy. You're pussy, super pussy. I'm telling you, got it. Pistol Pete sends back a message. Your BM says you a homo thug. Now blow that whistle. Yeah. She know better. And then it says, I got something for any one of you niggas. The day it happens, I'm very far from pussy. As your man's hiding behind a fake account, the summer is turned up for Joe, nigga. Pistol P responds, you got 48 hours to fall back. Yep. You been warned, son. Next one he says, Pistol P says, you can have Jesus with you, nigga. You food and we gonna eat. He said, whatever you say. He said, you put that video up and I'll make you pay in the worst way, pussy, nigga. So basically, he was talking about the video he just sent him in his DMs. But you don't want idiot enough to send the video. And also, what also makes him what also makes him an absolute idiot is because, you know, Instagram, especially when you're sending it in your DMs, they give you the option of, you know, sending it where you can allow it only replay once, where you could keep replaying. So I you know, obviously, nigga, you should, the fact that he got a screenshot like this, you didn't use that option, and you just ain't moving smart, bro. You just ain't moving very intelligent. Then it gets into defender directive assault to rapper Mac Main. So we obviously know who Mac Main is, and I thought this one was actually funny because Mac Main was talking his shit. So he was basically trying to get at Mac Main, physically assault rapper Mac Main. This was a response to a comment allegedly made by Main in which he mocked defendant's marriage and claimed he could sexually satisfy. I don't think I might have made the word. Defendant Fat Joe's wife better than defendant Fat Joe could. According to plaintiff, defendant Fat Joe told Mac Main that he crossed the line when he said, and Mac Main said this, and I quote, "I know that fat nigga ain't fucking his wife right. I'll fuck the shit out of her if I get a chance." Shout out to Mac Main for being a real nigga. Although the plaintiff did not carry out the assault, the directive itself reflects defendant's Fat Joe's operational practice of issuing verbal orders and did it to result in violent orders that were understood to be mandatory with the enterprise. These orders are not hyperbolic or performative. With the Fat Joe enterprise could phrases like pound them out, carry real weight, and implied expectation of execution. Non-compliance could be interpreted as disloyalty, leading to internal punishment or exclusion. So, obviously, that's how many more times I gotta tell you, bro. Silver Rico, they're building that picture for a Silver Rico organization, COERCION. I mean, having an organization using coercion through violence, financial. I guess they're bearing on their financial dependency on you, Rico. Next thing you know, it talks about how Fat Joe tried to get at DMX. Okay, so it's a defendant Fat Joe use of violence extended beyond his internal crew. In one incident in Miami, Florida, defendant ordered plaintiff and another associate Raul to confront and physically assault the DMX. Following a verbal dispute between DMX and someone in the defendant's circle. The defendant viewed the altercation as an act of public disrespect and ordered immediate retaliation. He instructed Pluff, saying, if he acts up, take the hammer. The phrase take the hammer was understood with the enterprise as an authorization to use a firearm, not simply engage in a verbal or physical confrontation. Although plaintiff ultimately diffused the encounter and avoided a violent outcome, his compliance in initiating the confrontation under threat of enterprise reprisal highlights that defendant's orders were non-negotiable. Again, building the Rico. But in all seriousness, from the stories that I hear about DMX, I'm not sure that would have went how they just thought it was going to go. But, and honestly, no disrespect to Terrence Dixon, I don't think he's... Actually, I'll say that for the end. I will save that for the end. Okay, this one is building, again, back to the RICO that involves Roc Nation. Beginning or around 2017, Roc Nation LLC knowingly benefited financially from and substantially participated in a trafficking venture that exploited plaintiff. Roc Nation managed defendant Fat Joe's touring catalog and business infrastructure and collected a fixed 10% share of our enterprise earnings, regardless of whether Roc Nation generated the revenue. And they say Roc Nation, strategic facilitator and aider of racketeering activity. In 2017, Roc Nation entered into a management agreement with the defendant Fat Joe and assumed exclusive control over his business affairs. From that point forward, Roc Nation functioned as defendant Fat Joe's operational command center, overseeing all touring, licensing, branding, music publishing, and commercial contracts, while firmly projecting his public image and shielding his financial operations from scrutiny. Upon information, believed Roc Nation was aware or willfully blind to defendant Fat Joe's ongoing criminal conduct, including forced labor, financial fraud, retaliation retaliatory violence and sex trafficking. And despite knowledge of multiple allegations of red flag, Right Nation continued to facilitate defenders Fat Joe business interests, defend his public image, and structure deals that directly enrich the Fat Joe enterprise. And that's basically it. So, to give my rundown and opinion of this, I will say him being so close to him and some of the actual specific details and the evidence behind him, some of this has to be true. I won't say it's an all the way money grab. I do think some of it is a little fishy though. I will say the fact I won't say it's fishy as a whole. I will say either Terrence Dixon is just, he's just so blindly loyal, or he's just not the most intelligent person. So I will say I would say the reason I say he's not the most intelligent person, because he did, as actual say, he wasn't, aware of this to 2024 about how, the money wasn't properly, in his hand, it properly being handed to him right. And him being his jump man since 2005 for 2022 for 17 years, what the fuck do you think was going on? Like, you said you did all these things with, help collaborate and, help creative. And you trying to tell me you had no idea that you was, you had deserved some money from that? Like, you just didn't, you never looked into what was going on with your money in 17 years? That shit don't make no damn sense to me. So, like, it really don't. And maybe that's just, maybe I'm just like, looking at it from hindsight because I got 2020 obviously. But I just can't see myself being in no position where I'm thinking I'm supposed to get some kind of bag from I know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm supposed to get some kind of bag for this. And I never, look into where the fuck my money at. That shit crazy as hell to me. I don't get that. I don't get that at all. But another thing I do want to comment on, what the fuck do y'all old niggas like be letting these niggas rap about? This nigga got hopped on a song and openly talked about messing with a 16-year-old. And like what? And then Biggie said, you look so good. Suck on your daddy's dick. Y'all was literally listening to shit. Y'all trying to tell me y'all better than us, and y'all niggas was rapping like this. Y'all niggas is perverse and absolutely motherfucking disgusting. And niggas think they rap better than us. Next thing, I do say they did a great job, I think, of trying to build a Silver Rico. Now, I think a Silver Rico is incredibly hard to prove, because I just think, legally you're not getting some of the things, through the court of law. You obviously can access a lot of these things, financial records, things of that sort, and fudge it in of the numbers and things of that sort. But I think it's going to be very hard. It's very hard to prove a RICO through the civil system just because of the nature of it. But as far as, at least laying the groundwork for it, I think they did a great job, or him and his lawyers did a great job for it. Now, I do think one thing that also looks funny is the text exchange, because if you really read the text exchange, obviously I read some of it for you. He's very aggressive in responding with his text exchange. So I felt like if you thought one day, maybe during the text exchange he didn't really realize he was going to sue him one day. But I'm just feeling like one day if you're going to get in text exchange, it would just make sense, to not be aggressive back. Like at least in my opinion, I feel like you might get off a little better if you're less aggressive when you're doing that. But that's just me though. But this is definitely a crazy scene. I can't imagine Fat Joe really they put another freako out. These freakos is crazy. And obviously, it may be true, it may not be true, but the fact that nigga, it's this, but some of this shit is dead to like gay. No funny shit. It's like gay allegations. Like, out of all niggas they chose to say that you was doing that nasty shit, it happened to be you. But like the timing of it with Diddy, I don't know, bro. It's a funny ass case. Like, this case could really be 100% true, or it could be some bullshit. But the fact that he was so close to them, and they have evidence of them saying, other people saying how close they were, and it's really only 20 million. I'm not saying 20 million like it's some little ass number, but we just seen Tyler get paid for 260. Now we know Fat Joe ain't got Tyler Perry money, but I mean, I just think I think if it was a money grab, you probably might go for a little bit of a higher number just because of all the things he got, as well as. But I do think, if y'all having a relationship at one point, it might hold you back from telling, from absolutely exposing him. So the fact that you felt the need to expose him, then this may be true. That's all but that's what I think though. But that's all I gotta say though. Like, share, subscribe, comment. ID to top bottom video, and we out.